Yo, yo, yo. Gunshots were fired in the last MikiDz Show.
How y'all feeling today, gentlemen?
Oh, man.
Let's go.
I got a lot of energy.
I've been sharpening my knife last night.
Man.
And you know what? I'm just glad I'm going to get the opportunity to say something. I'm going to get the opportunity to say something on my own show.
I'm saying.
Hey, man. Listen. Y'all, that's what happens when y'all let motherfuckers come in and take over.
Well, meters. All right. Yeah, so.
We ready?
So, yeah.
Are we ready?
We ready.
What episode is this? Let's get the proper intro.
Yo.
Chelsea episode.
Yo, MikiDz podcast episode 10.5.
There it is.
Yeah, and why is it 10.5?
Why 10.5?
10.5 because, you know what? We had episode 11 in the books, locked up.
Yep.
We're going to put it right back on the shelf for like 2 seconds because we got some shit to address.
Yeah.
And, now that we're back in our studio, which, whenever I stay at somebody's crib, I like to put things back where they are.
Yeah, I feel you.
But we had to come in here and do some work. Shout out to Rell and Abner,
Yeah, shout out to Rell
who
and
really
Abner.
did the actual physical work.
We got to do something around
But
here.
we got to bring it back to the studio one time. And,
Yeah.
to be quite honest with you, let's get some shit straight.
Well, let me kick this off, and I speak for all of us. I feel. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just to address the people that have been DMing me and actually been getting phone calls from some DJs about what happened on the MikiDz Show with the R.O.A.D podcast. I have no problems with Crooked. I will still go back to listening to the R.O.A.D podcast, and I actually like the way Crooked thinks. I think he thinks outside the box, and he's a creative dude. And when someone wants to talk about what's on the table, Crooked's like, nah, dig a little deeper. What about this? And I'm like, I really like that about him.
Love Crooked.
So we all love him. We have no problem with Crooked.
Love him.
But when you get a New York motherfucker, Rell,
You get him amped.
when you get him amped, you have no shot.
None.
I feel like, and this is what I was trying to say. So for those that don't know, we had the R.O.A.D podcast yesterday, or
100th
it was-
episode.
Congratulations.
It was yesterday.
Congratulations,
Today,
fellas.
Yeah, congrats to those guys. 100th episode.
Happened last week.
Happened last week. There were a gang of people in here. Everyone's throwing their 2 cents. It was real a productive conversation.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, Crooked said, Dainja, you have something to say about me and my thoughts on West Coast DJs. And I was like, yeah, what I was trying to say is every time I listen to the R.O.A.D podcast, not every time, but whenever it's convenient for Crooked, he takes a shot at the West Coast style or the West Coast DJ.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I listen, I'm just like, I don't understand what he has against the West, like what it's all good. So I started bringing up references like, as long as I've been alive, it's always been LA versus New York.
Yeah.
And whether it was sports or music, I brought the reference of West Side Slaughterhouse, Ice Cube saying hip hop started in the West. And Nev was like, nah, he didn't say it. I'm like, yes, he did. And I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying he was trying to kick up dust and start a fight with, which was, and a lot of people don't know this, but that was the original beef with East versus West. It wasn't Tupac versus Biggie. So I was just using examples, and then they didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I'm thinking, y'all are hip hop heads. I assume you knew this. I guess maybe not West Coast wise. So we continued, and we were just like, I was just trying to figure out what it is he has against him. And he's always knocking the 8-bar intro and all that. And I'm just like, bro, that's not what that's not what we all do. Right.
Right.
And he wants to say, or he said that the East Coast guys use a mic and they have all these things. And we basically took their style or we've taken some of their style. And I'm like, okay, well, we as West Coast DJs now, we use everything.
Yeah.
Maybe, and he had a reference of back in 2006, I saw one of your top dudes, and he was doing all these things that I just didn't agree with. And at the end of the day, that's your preference. That's how you feel about whatever. Like, it's like honestly trying to argue who's better, this or that, LeBron or Jordan, top 5 MCs. Like, no one's going to win. Yeah. It's a waste of time. So if that's how you feel, and I don't know, I don't speak for Mike and I don't speak for Rell. I don't care who the best is.
Yeah.
I could give a fuck about who the best is.
Yeah.
I know what works, and I know what works, and I know what I do, but I'm not gonna sit here and allow you, and I'm not so much allow you. Let me rephrase that. If you say that, I'm gonna disagree because that's not how I feel. And whatever tangent you want to go on, and whatever energy you want to put into that, and it's not my first time dealing with a New York dude talking sideways at me, or maybe not even sideways, but just getting steam. Yeah, you know, like I've been dealing with cats like this my whole life, being from LA. I feel y'all smoke all the time, so this is nothing new. I have a Latin girlfriend. I hear this shit once a month. Like this is fucking a scrimmage when motherfuckers yell at me like this. Yeah, so it's like, but I'm gonna let you get your rocks off because I really felt like you've been holding this in since 2006, and that was his reference. When I came in 2006, y'all did this. Your main dudes did this. I don't know. I wasn't around at that club or those clubs he was at. Well, but one more thing.
I'm gonna let you finish.
Where I thought he fucked up off the bat was, okay, this is my problem with West Coast DJs. I haven't been to a club since 2006. Boom.
Yeah.
Where is your research if you haven't been to an LA club since 2006? You know what I mean? Like, I'll name 2 DJs off the bat from the West Coast, and I'll put them up against any DJ in the country in regards to hip hop. Chances are no one's fucking with DJ Bad. Chances are no one's fucking with Butch. Okay? And these are hip hop DJs you probably haven't seen live doing their thing because you haven't been to an LA club since 2006. Yeah. So your reference is outdated. And I know and clearly you've been holding on to this since then, and any opportunity you get a chance to say something, you're gonna like let people know how you feel, but your references are outdated. Go.
There's a ton of points. We're just trying to let you get your socks off.
No, well, I got more.
Yeah, I know. Well, there's just a ton of topics to cover, and we did our best to just step up and like have a conversation also, right? And like it's hard in any scenario when you're getting yelled at to have a conversation, and you know, there's a certain stance that I think everybody took, you know, and me and Cricket got into a little small conversation because I took, you know, something he said on his Instagram, a little like, that's an interesting way to approach in his stories in regards to how he felt that, you know, maybe on our side we were saying things that didn't make sense to him. But respectfully, on our side, we also felt like he was saying some shit that doesn't make sense. A lot of the points you made in regards to his dated point of view, you know, you could argue that today he's more of a Vegas DJ than he is a New York DJ. Yeah. Just because he has 100%. A style, maybe his programming ain't the same like a New York cat, right? Because how do you know what's hot in New York? Because you don't know what's hot in LA.
No.
Because when Night Train pulled up or Butch pulled up and they were dropping records that honestly were a little older in LA, but that are hot records, they had no idea who those artists were or who those people were.
When I brought up certain songs, they didn't know what the fuck it was.
And like when they were glorifying Penthouse Day Club, which is a premier day club, not taking anything away from them. Matter of fact, to help support how great Penthouse Day Club is in regards to the hip hop scene out here, they've been doing it for 4 or 5 years. You're just finding out about it.
Yeah, this is their 4th season, right?
No disrespect. I think it's the fourth season. Yeah, because I know they're going for that 5th banner. Yeah, and that's the big talk. And so shout out to everybody who's involved in there. There's a lot of dope LA parties, period. And they've been to Everyday People, and I've never been to Everyday People. Looks amazing. Sounds amazing. Looks great. It's definitely something that I've now made a point to like want to go check out next time it's in town. But there's a lot of parties like that. You know, where you've built the name, the following across the country, not just LA. And so when you're in your bubble, like you're going to speak on your bubble, but don't generalize that and think that that's just going to work or you're allowed to speak on everybody like that. Yeah. The LA style or the West Coast style, right? And I think he asked this question. I don't think we did I'm going to be honest. And at times we didn't do our best to explain things.
Well, we were deflecting.
Yeah, we were busy.
It wasn't a conversation. Exactly. It was like a lot was being thrown at us, and we're trying to register and process because we're trying to have a conversation.
We were getting put in the corner, and we were hugging more than we were trying to get out of the corner. Like, we were just trying to, like, buy time to figure out, okay, wait a minute. There's some comments that even, like, I had to take a step back and say, whoa, hold on, let me marinate on this.
And also, not to cut you off, but there's, like, 12 dudes trying to get their opinion. Yeah. How selfish will we be if we made it one-on-one, which it was like a one-on-two.
kind of thing at the end of the day.
In a way, I mean,
But when Lady Shaw had her 2 cents, he got real quiet with his voice. He was real okay, but lady, like, all right,
Nah,
like,
but it was
bring that same
it was-
energy, bro.
but I get it. At the end of the day, look, it's healthy to have these conversations. These conversations are happening all around the world. We're very fortunate enough to be DJs who do get to travel the world and do what we love, and play in different rooms in different cities. And we observe and we adapt. And I think what the real true evolution of all this is, yes, okay, New York has a long rooted history in hip hop.
Yep.
The birth of it, right? The hip is part of the record, hopping back and forth, the old saying, right? That's how hip hop was created. And we respect that. That comes from New York. That comes from the East Coast. And again, like, if anybody wants to correct us, but I don't think it's end all be all about who did it first.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It's about who has done it the best. I mean, if you want to be who did it first, I mean, Ray J's your reference. But
Jesus.
But the reality is, at the end of the day, what we were trying to make across, it's not about like being the first. It's about being the best at what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right? Taking on the challenge from Crooked about who has the better style. Like, how much are you really evolving in your style if you don't even have a setup at home? Like, are you putting in the work? And I'm not trying to blow smoke at Crooked, but I'm just bringing up some points for us to have a fun conversation. At the end of the day, like, yo, you can't uncredit us just because we haven't done it as long.
Yeah.
Or you can't discredit us just because you experienced a West Coast DJ that represented the West Coast and he didn't do a good job playing hip hop specific. Like, it would be unfair for us, and we've tried to do this behind the scenes, is do a top 50 DJ list.
Yeah.
But how unfair would that be to every other room that we've never even walked into?
Exactly.
In the Midwest, in the East Coast.
Yeah,
like, we
South.
only know what we know.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's just like, yeah, it's everybody's perspective, but I would really appreciate a conversation where we're not referencing things that happened 14 years ago.
Yeah,
Or
I think
13 years ago.
It was heavily opinionated. You know what I mean? I think, like, piggybacking off what Joe said, a lot of this shit, no one was listening. Everyone was so ready just to give their response that no one was listening. So a lot of shit was repeated just in a different way. You know what I'm saying? So, for example, Crooked was saying he hasn't been in the LA club since 2006. So his reference was from, like you said, 14 years ago. But Joe said that every time when he heard New York cats, when he was his experience when he heard a New York cat, he was like, "Yo, this nigga, this cat was changing songs every 6 bars. Like, is this was going down?" But that's Joe's experience. Yeah. That's Crooked's
experience. And that
was
also what year?
That was 2013.
Yeah. So even that was some time ago. You know what I'm saying? It was some data shit. You know what I'm saying? So I think there was a lot of valid points being made on both ends of the spectrum. I agree with Crooked was saying. I think the verbiage needed to be changing. Like you were saying, stop saying something is better. I don't think one is better. It's just different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just because it's different doesn't make one better than the other one.
Right.
I did agree with Crooked when he said that when we're talking about a club setting, that the quote unquote East Coast style it's better for that setting. When we're talking about dance floor and table settings, you know what I'm saying, in your whatever 4-hour kind of set, that style works better than what you would consider a West Coast style.
Well, because you're playing for a vibe and not a dance floor.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying in that setting, only specifically in that setting, it works. That's what I agree with him on that.
Today,
right? And a lot of DJs, whether they're from the East Coast, whether they're from the West Coast, have adapted that style of DJing.
So, would you argue that 3 years ago that was a different window? Like, and sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
But wouldn't you say, specifically in the Los Angeles scene and the DJs that have come up, right? Because the DJ roster, if you will, the people that are in rotation in the city, they've, for the most part, shift every like 4 years. It's like college.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Everybody graduates. They go onto a label, they produce, or they do something else.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, the style of play has shifted because the dance floors have gotten smaller. Like, literally in venues.
Yeah.
We were even saying the point where they were talking about, how New York DJs have a larger catalog than LA DJs and because they can dig deeper because they gotta play longer.
They have to play longer because clubs for the 4 a.m. I don't
That's
think
a
that was
stup-
fair.
that's a
I don't think
stupid
that was
fucking
fair.
point.
Yeah, I don't think that was fair either.
Let me just bring up the reference I gave you.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, if a basketball player, right, he goes, he works out, he practices, he runs fives every single week.
Yeah.
Right? But because one gets to run fives on a high school court and the other one gets to run on a college court.
Which are two different size courts,
and,
for those that don't know.
Yeah, just for the reference.
Right.
And yeah, okay, maybe the guy in the college court has a different type of endurance than the other cat, but that doesn't make him better.
Yeah.
And so just because you play more hours doesn't mean that we don't know how to play or don't have the same catalog. Yeah, matter of fact, we got to find a way to fit more records into a smaller amount of time.
Yeah.
Now, I also wanted to get the point across. I'll admit, when I went to Vegas recently, like my first time back, like, I was like, I blew through the load, really quick. And I'm like, oh shit, where do I want to go with this?
Yeah.
Right. And but if you're a good DJ, and this is what it's really dials back down to, is the good DJ versus a bad DJ, right? Some guys understand it, some don't. Like, you got to learn how to adjust and you read and you learn. That's what it is. And I think every
But even Rockticon said at 2:30 in New York, I'm like, damn, where do I go for the next hour and a half? And he figures it out. I did Joy District out in Chicago not too long ago. My set was from 10:30 to like 3:30. And that's not what I normally do. It's normally when I headline, it's like a 2-hour set, hour and a half in some cases, or even an hour. But I figured it out on the spot. So to a lot of people's points, it's good DJ versus bad DJ. Something else I want to touch on, which I thought was hilarious, and this is how convenient it was for the New York guys in the room. Going back to that guy who DJ'd at Playhouse.
Oh, just say what you said and then clarify.
So what I said was towards the end of the podcast or end of the show, I said, look, I went to Playhouse back in 2013. One of your DJs from New York, one of your main dudes, clearly was highly thought of because they flew him out to Playhouse, to one of the best clubs, if not the best club in LA, to do a hip hop night.
Yeah.
So clearly they thought highly of this guy, and he can rock the hip hop New York guy. He's got it. I walk in, and it's like every 4 and 6 bars is a new slam track, and I'm looking at our promoters. I'm looking at Marley, and he's just like, "Yo, what the fuck is this dude doing? Like, what is this shit?" And it's like, and I'm thinking, this is y'all dude. Like, this is your style. This is what you represent. So when I said that, Crooked, Rockticon, oh, it's just a bad DJ. Oh, now it's convenient that he's a bad DJ. But the guy that you brought up back in 2006 was one of your dudes. I can't chalk him up as being a bad DJ because it's inconvenient for your point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Also, I'd also like to point out the first time I heard a club New York DJ, 2008 or so, was DJ Clutch. And other than that was like
shout out to
Flex.
Clutch, man.
And I'm listening to Clutch, and I'm like, yo, this dude sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, he sounds different than every DJ I've heard from New York. Again, I've only heard a few DJs at that time. I'm like, this dude he sounds like a universal DJ. Yeah, he's slamming tracks. He's hitting, certain tracks that need to just be dropped. But he's also smooth with some of these transitions, and he's telling you a story. He's taking you somewhere. Like, this is like who I want to sound like if I'm not there already. Like, this dude is incredible in that regard. So yeah, just to like wrap up that whole shit. I don't even know where to go with that, but my point is, I understand not all New York guys are like that.
Let me get it off the backboard for you.
Yeah, again, it just, at the end of the day, it just comes down to being a good DJ or bad DJ, regardless of where the fuck you from. You know what I'm saying? You should be able to handle a 2-hour set or a fucking 5 or 6 hour set. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And be able, if you got to spend from 10 to 4 a.m., you know that. And
another thing, what he was saying that there's 4 DJs in one night. And which I'm not saying didn't happen at that time.
And realistically, like, whether it did happen or it doesn't happen, and we can discuss whether that happens today. Really, it's, for the most part, you usually see two DJs. You see an opener and a closer amongst the it's not even 4 hours now. Like, people don't give a fuck about 10 to 11. Like, people really just want 11 to close.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And so even then, like, if that were happening, like, that's not like our decision. Like, we just play our role.
We can't do that shit.
We
can't
know
do
the
nothing about
sport.
that.
We just play our position.
Yeah.
Like, we don't make the decision in the logistics. You know what I mean? And like, there's still parties. Even when Night Train was talking about it 10 years ago, he paid to be able to play.
Yeah.
In a side room with nobody in it from 9 to whatever.
Yeah.
But that's just the business of how kind of the LA scene like started.
Yeah.
And it's evolved. Like everything else, it's evolved.
Exactly.
Technology's evolved. The music has evolved. And at the end of the day, with all the different things that we have access to today, like, everybody, honestly, like, everybody has access to it, right? Before, like, we'd have to look up N1 mixtapes for basketball moves. Before, we'd have to look up what was the
You
DJ
had to go.
competitions.
You had to go get the N1 mixtape,
What
buy
was-
something.
What was the
and
shit
get it.
in Cincinnati that was going down always? The rap battles and the DJ battles
I used
and
to
like
have the Scribble Jam.
Scribble Jam. And then, you know, like, for me, I first fell in love with DJing in 2005. I got a late start. I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
Right? I think Neva also started when he was 20 years old, but he's from a different generation.
Yeah.
And so, like, he got to see other things that I didn't get to see, and that's
Yeah.
just because when I was born, I didn't pick when I was born. So, like, to hold it against us on time, or like in 2005, you guys weren't working. Yeah, you're right. I wasn't working, but I was going out, and I was listening. I was developing my ear, and so as time has gone on, like, I mean, I went to a DJ battle, and that's when I decided, you know what, like, I really want to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, it's evolved. I mean,
Well, another thing in that era I want to make clear, because like, I know a lot of people listen to Crooked and they respect his opinion, and clearly we do. I've already expressed that.
Yeah.
But at that time, he said there was 4 DJs in one night. In his, I don't know how many experiences he had with that, but that's what he witnessed. And remember when I used to do social, my point I was trying to make in that conversation was, and he was trying to affront on me, when I used to do social, when I had my residency, it was a hip hop night mixed with top 40.
Yeah.
And this was 2008. So this was way before remixes and all that. You work with whatever the labels got you,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I was just on Serato too. Just getting on Serato. So at that time, I told him, I said, all right, cool. Y'all do 6-hour sets. Like, I used to have to do a 4-hour set. Not comparing, but like, it's a long night is a long night.
Yeah.
From start to finish. And he told me, yeah, but you had EDM to play as well. I'm like, no, I told him this was before Shots. In fact, Shots was too aggressive to
For
play
that night,
at Social. I remember first hearing Shots at Social playing. I was like, oh my God, this is scaring people.
Yeah.
You know, people weren't ready for that at that time. And he wasn't even trying to listen to me. He was just like, no, but Shots is in the same EDM vein. I'm like, so that's like, you ain't hearing me, bro.
That's
like,
what I'm saying. It
you're
goes
getting
back-
your rocks off, and I get it. You're very passionate, and anybody, no matter what part of the world you're from, when you're in that emotional state, you're not going to hear a lot of things. And I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt because you're so emotional with it. But we have no problem with him moving forward. I'm still gonna hit him up for
fucks with
whatever
Crooked.
reason. Yeah. But
in your top five.
Top five.
Because in your top 5.
Right. but there's nothing wrong with having a conversation and disagreeing.
Yeah, no,
And
at all.
look, Crooked and all you New York DJs, if y'all want the banner of best DJ or best DJs, y'all can have it. Put that shit up. Put that shit up in One Oak. Put it up in the garden. Y'all ain't had a banner in the garden in a while.
Growing up.
Put that shit
Born
up.
and raised,
Y'all
listen,
can have. I don't
born and-
care about who's the
born and
best. I
raised-
know what works.
Born and raised in New York, you know what I'm saying, listening, coming up to DJing, and I was interested in being a DJ when I was about 17, 18 years old. So I moved out here when I think I was 20 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I had my first pair of turntables when I was still in New York. You know, I'm still listening to radio and shit like that. And don't get it twisted. Like, there's a lot of cats that I respect. You know, Red Alert, Kid Capri. You know, even the mixtape cats like Clue and Killer and K Slay and, you know, Drama and all those cats coming up.
Shout out to Wonder.
Wonder, the Wonder Twins. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, like all these cats coming up. There's some trash ass fucking DJs in New York.
Yeah.
Some of y'all niggas is garbage, and I'm not even going. Like, let's not front. And again, that goes in every city. There's bad DJs everywhere. So we can't sit here and deny that you can't say one coast's DJs is better than the other coast.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you got every fucking New York DJ or every East Coast DJ and you got every West Coast DJ to go head to head or do whatever competition or battle type shit, you're probably gonna come out equal balance. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get an equal amount of good DJs from each coast and being like, all right, cool, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Again, at the end of the day, it's just different.
Yeah.
Their style is different. This style is different. That's just what it is. Learn how to be able to incorporate both styles, and then you better than both of these motherfuckers.
I think, I mean, the reality is the difference is in the foundation.
Exactly.
It's not in the result, because the result is now just a melting pot. And that goes for everything, right? Even when breaking records or songs coming out, they're coming out on every coast at the same time. Yeah, you're going to have a couple local records. Pop Smoke is going to be big in New York, and One Take J is going to work in rooms in LA.
Yeah.
And so it's just different. But because of technology, because of access, because of amazing DJ companies like DJ City, you're going to have access to videos, to music, to edits and things like that. Like, you can't sit there and say like that every DJ drops an intro.
He did say
every. I know. I he said that, but you really can't, because like, yeah, I probably have an intro version of Hypnotize.
Sure.
But probably because there's an acapella out at the end of it, and because I still drop it from the fucking one when it comes in, right? And so, like, because they're tools. Like, so, right, Mr. Gadget? Abner, shout out to Abner. He's got every single adapter, tool, thing that you could ever need. You know why? Because you never know what the fuck is going to happen.
Nah, fuck that. Keep it real, Abner.
Yeah.
Only use the shit that's the best.
What's wrong with you? Use analog only. Everything.
Let's work smarter,
like,
not
harder.
harder.
Can you imagine? Like, that's like saying like, oh man, like, oh, you got an S9? Oh, why you got those pads? That's what you sound like.
It's cheating.
Oh, you got a laptop? No, you should have pulled up with some records. That's what you sound like.
Now that you said that, it brings me to a point that I wanted to bring up from that another conversation that just based off of the conversations that we had at the show, is that a lot of you older heads sound bitter as fuck.
Yeah.
Bitter as fuck. And Joe said Joe beat me to it, and he said it when we were having a conversation. He goes, all right, we spent 20 minutes talking about the problem. What's the fucking solution?
And nobody ever has the
came
answer.
up with the fucking solution. No one had anything to say.
Cricket says some shit, but it was like very generic.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, yo, you constantly bitching about, and I appreciated the fact that we had cats like Night Train in there, who I guess you can consider he's kind of part of the younger generation.
I'll tell you right now, Night Train ain't no punk.
No,
they
Night
tried
Train
fronting on him yesterday. Night Train wasn't having it.
He wasn't having it. He you know what I'm saying, he held his own, and you know what I'm saying, and he put his foot down, and I respect and I fuck with Night Train. Night Train's my guy. My thing is a lot of you cats, and we discussed this about when we were one of the past episodes that we had when we were talking about it, and I was just like, yo, a lot of these cats, and I said, who's holding these cats accountable? You
complain enough to you care enough to complain about it, but you don't care enough to do shit about it.
So what the fuck are you complaining about? Stop complaining and just let it be what it is. I think Scooter said it best. He was like, listen, shit changes all the time in this industry. I've been doing this shit for decades, and it changes all the time. So either adapt with the times or fall behind. You know what I mean? It's that simple. Stop bitching and complaining. And that's what I wanted to get into when Mike brought up the fact that, we went to DJ school or whatever, and Cricket was like, oh, I'm not even trying to talk about that. No, let's talk about that.
I understand why he didn't want to talk about it, because it was just a whole different thing after talking about exactly what we talked about. Like, I didn't take offense. I think you guys did. I didn't take offense to it. I just think it's a whole.
Take offense to it.
Okay, well, you guys wanted to get into it. I can understand why he didn't want to get into it in that moment, especially after all the emotions flying back and forth. But
the point is, there's different perspectives. We grew up in different situations. Like, given, I understand that it might be irrelevant to the main topic, but there's a DJ school in New York.
Exactly.
There's guys being
it
taught.
Started
you
in
just
New
reminded
York.
me of a couple other points I made.
And I'm just saying, but I'm saying,
you know what I'm saying?
But at the end of the day, who are you to shame anyone for wanting to be the best at what they're passionate about
and working with what they know?
And now, my point of bringing that up was to be, here's a solution to the issue. You bitch and complain about these new generation DJs coming up, doing it the wrong way, having the wrong approach, undercutting DJs, the OG DJs, the veteran DJs are out here doing it and shit like that. Okay, so what are you doing? Who's telling these cats? Crookie said it. Crookie was like, yo, I was DJing. I think he might have said it was in New York or some shit like that. And one of the booker or whoever came up to him and said, yo, you're a dope DJ, but you need to learn more rock music. You know what I'm saying? Who? Okay, that's great. How many of the OGs, how many of the vets are saying that to these younger cats? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you got potential, but maybe you should approach it this way, as opposed to looking at them, staring at them, because they, whoever's opening for them or whatever, being like, and then go bitching to their boy about it, as opposed to maybe having a conversation with them and offering them, being like, yo, you know what? You know what I'm saying? My thing is, if you're not gonna be part of the solution, you're part of the problem. That's my thing is, and my point of saying bringing up the school is because, again, the school it's a solution. Like, all right, cool. You know what? If we don't like the way the newer generation is coming up in this industry, then we gotta figure out a way to introduce it. So and create a platform that we can introduce and have this shit come up the correct way.
And let me just real quick, like the reason for bringing up the school, like why do you even go to college, right? To network. Like that's the real core reason you go to school is to network, right? What came out of coming or going to the DJ school we went to? We work now for the company.
Exactly.
That was built in that same room. And so, and our core of like official first DJ crew was built from there. Some of my best friends have gone through there.
Yeah.
You introduced me to the school.
Yeah.
So like, The thing is, for us, it's not even about learning how to DJ at all, actually.
No.
Like, yeah, there's core values in what we learned.
You learn the history,
but the reality, and we know all the stories and everything else that comes with it, and we have respect for those that came before us. But at the end of the day, like, it was the community that was built from there.
Yeah.
That shows the value, because I can only imagine that in New York, because of the lifestyle and how hard it is, and you got to hustle, and everybody's always on the move. Everybody eats standing up. I recall all of those experiences, and I can only imagine as a DJ how difficult it was to get put on, or have somebody that will fuck with you enough to give you those opportunities.
Exactly.
As a crew, we learned how to share and grow and figure out. Obviously, still competitive, and we discussed all those things, but you still had this ability to put people on.
Exactly.
We're the first generation that got to do corporate gigs. Like, there wasn't a DJ at Bloomingdale's working for Cosmopolitan all the time. Yeah. Because that wasn't a part of the element pre-2000, and not everybody could carry crates all the fucking time.
Exactly.
But we were still carrying crates to Bloomingdale's.
That's why, and I'm going to say this shit. That's why we're the better generation. We're better. We're going to be better than the old heads. We're going to be better than the new generation coming up, because we have that healthy balance of basically analog transitioning into digital.
Well, even everything that said, like, that's a great idea. You can just, all the shit that we had to learn, it just got bundled up into
one thing. Exactly.
But let me ask this. It just hit me. I didn't take the classes that you guys, I took the scratching classes and the juggling classes, but like, so you guys learn how to blend and all that in intros.
Yeah.
What's the criteria for the New York DJs? Do they learn how to blend intros? Is that a part of their criteria?
It's a part. There's a universal curriculum.
Thank you.
It's a universal.
That's my point. That's my point.
Yeah.
Like, you learn different ways. It's not I doubt the teachers at Scratch Academy New York, which is where it started in New York, I doubt they're saying, that's a West Coast thing, DJ so-and-so. We're not doing that here. We just slam tracks. You know what I mean?
I think but I will say that the curriculum, when it first came, I don't think New York adapted that style of blending until they introduced the school in LA, and the curriculum had changed.
Yeah, because they had guys like Mr. Chalk.
Yeah, they had people from the Beat Junkies come in. You know what I'm saying? Like, influential. Exactly. So I think even when the school officially started in New York, I think it was in 2002 or something like that, 2001, if I'm not mistaken. The curriculum could have been dropping on the one. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, we drop tracks, boom. You know, do baby scratches, drop. As opposed to when they finally moved the school over from LA, or excuse me, when they opened up the school in LA, and when they had Mr. Chalk and those guys get more involved and introduced their style of DJing is when the curriculum overall became the universal, way of teaching and basically became the curriculum for all the schools across the nation.
Well,
Yeah.
I go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, I don't know when the beat matching exactly became a part of the curriculum. I mean, and I don't want to like shoot shots at the new guys in New York but I'm sure the foundation was different and the perspective, right?
Yeah.
The point of view could have been different because if the professors in New York, have their way that feels effective for a nightclub, but at the end of the day, like also like not every room is approached the same way.
No, absolutely. Right. And I say that because I was originally going to go to the location in New York before I moved out here.
So I mean, I have nothing else to say after this, and I don't care ever in my life to ever talk about this again because it's the dumbest conversation. But we're all wrapped up in it, and it's
not a dumb conversation. It's just
it's pointless.
It's an endless
pointless
conversation.
And the fact is, I'm never gonna prove Crooked wrong. I'm never gonna prove a New York DJ wrong. Even if Jamie, he's not gonna listen to this. Jamie will go tell him, and he ain't trying to hear it, which is fine. I'm cool with it. But I just got one more thing to say. He chopped at us at the 2006 DJ for using party breaks. Motherfucker, where you think you got those party breaks from?
Yeah.
Crooklyn Clan.
Yup. Fat Man Scoop all over them
Yeah,
joints.
they started that, and then it was just like an evolution of DJs say, yo, it's a good idea, party break, let's do that. So
I'm surprised JCO didn't chime
done.
in. Isn't he from Boston?
No, he's from
Philly?
Pittsburgh. Or
Philly?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
No, he did. He said blend in when it's convenient and slam it.
You know what? JCO actually had a really great soundbite that kind of got drowned out with everything, but he explained that some records need to get slammed, but there are times where the mix enhances the build.
That's it.
And I think that was a bar because that got overlooked.
And that was my point. I think our point, do everything.
Well, I mean, look, because the whole conversation got so heated, it was hard to really dive in and be able to have a conversation.
Because nobody was fucking listening.
Well, I mean, there was specifics of people that were not listening.
I'm going to categorize and say everybody. I don't want to say point fingers.
We're not trying to point
I was
fingers.
listening. I was deflecting. I was like, oh shit, watch out. Here's another one. Watch out.
We had to listen a lot. But the reality is, like, at the end of the day, like, the LA style is really an evolution of many styles, right? And we do have a rooted, heavy DJ history in LA with freestyle, if you will, the Aquanet, era, 80s, right? OG K-Day, guys like Julio G. I'm really spacing out some great guys, Ron, and like guys that really were heavily influenced on us that were highly focused on impeccable blends and drums and key and different things that just made things seamless. Yeah. Right. And so, we might have took a different route to get where we're at today. And sure, there's elements of what the original DJs, Kool Hercs, Theodores, all those amazing DJs that started all this shit, right? But it evolved as it went across the country and where we are. And the biggest point, and I know you had a little backlash to when I said this, but again, like, it's not always about who does it first. It's about who does it best. And in my opinion, right, based on not only my experience as a DJ, but the history and the research that I've done. Because I didn't come into this and just, I didn't grow up in a household where funk, soul, disco was being played. Yeah. Maybe a little disco. But,
your dad,
Latino. My dad got this John Travolta Saturday Night Fever.
Come on, man.
Mira papi, chill out. I got it.
For sure.
A little bit of that, okay? A little grease. But other than that, like, there wasn't really a ton of influence or things that, like, even when Neva was bringing it up, that he was listening to those records at home. I didn't have that. I'm jealous of that. Right. But I did the research to understand those things and to understand those rooms. Like, I'm confident that I could handle a room that people always are going to judge us. We talked about that the other day, and it could be an entire topic where we go into rooms and people are going to think Rell doesn't play rock or he doesn't play. What was the genre that they looked at you crazy? Was it some rock?
It was I guess you can consider it rock, but I guess you consider it like 80s rock or whatever. That they were like looking at me. I don't know, what would you put like a Tom Jones underneath? You know what I mean? Like
pop, feel like
whatever, pop. Like whatever that category or whatever that umbrella that would fall in. I was fucking around like this shit that I don't get to play often, so I was just going in on that stuff, and I was opening at a spot out here. I was doing the whole fucking night actually, but it was just the opening, portion of it, and I was just going in on that shit, and I literally had every staff member in there just staring at me like, what the fuck, like, and I was just. And it's mind blowing because I'm like, you guys judge a book by its cover without even understanding it. Joe walk into a spot. If we sent Joe into fucking Playhouse right now, right? Playhouse right now on a Friday or Saturday night, would they assume that this man couldn't get down because of the color of his skin or the way he's probably dressed or whatever the scenario is? Yeah. No, Joe would probably go in there and body that shit probably better than anybody else that's doing, has performed on that stage. So, it's unfortunate that we look, and I think I said something too, and never heard me. I forgot what R.O.A.D said. He said some shit, and I said, and
you said you couldn't.
I said it's because you're white, bro. Like, and you know what I mean. And I was like,
because he's talking about his residency at
some shit like that. Yeah.
Well, he circled back and did say like it's probably because they like my look.
Yeah,
and I didn't take that as like he's a fit guy. I took it as he's white.
But he's white. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, as long as, and again, at the end of the day, I understand that we don't get to choose, we don't get to pick what color we are, what race we are. You know what I mean? But if we, we're aware of that and we acknowledge the fact that, hey, certain opportunities are available to me because I'm white or, whatever, I got whatever going on or some shit like that. So, it's fucked up. So, but it is what it is, man. Like,
one thing, like, I'm not touching that topic anymore, but one thing I do want to circle back to was when R.O.A.D was saying these new DJs can't, maybe not in these words, but some guys were saying these new DJs wouldn't know what to do in this room or that room. And we're talking about playing a more of a diverse set with older songs. And Nitrain said, I disagree because that's what I do in the circle of people I hang out with, not necessarily older than me. Yeah. I do hang out with people older than me, but the circle of people I hang out with, they can do those rooms.
Yeah.
And I think, and Nitrain was protecting his younger DJ base, but I agree with Nitrain, and I feel if you put, like, I didn't grow up knowing every single Beatles song. I didn't grow up knowing every single fucking Guns N' Roses song.
Yeah.
But if you talk to a DJ, they're going to talk like they know every single song or that they grew up with that or they sat there and listened to it. Some probably did.
Yeah.
But a lot of these songs and albums, you didn't grow up listening to this shit religiously.
Nah.
You kind of figured it out as a DJ.
Exactly.
Right? Like, I grew up listening to, like, I'm 36, so I grew up listening to a lot of oldies with my parents.
Yep.
But I'm not going to front like I knew every single Temptation song or Drifter song or whatever. So we figure it out as we go. Mm-hmm. If you tell a young buck, yo, can you do this room? Can you play this music? I don't have that music, but I can get it. If he's hungry, he'll research it and he'll get it.
And they made it good. I forget who said it. I'm not sure if it was Scooter or whatever, but they were like, yo, if it's called for, these cats will do their research.
Yes.
They don't do research because they don't have to.
But that's the difference. It really just boils down to the difference between a good DJ and a bad DJ.
Yeah.
Not
DJ
so much
cares
about
and doesn't care.
where or where they're from. It's fully on, yes, do they care or do they not care? And they'll do the research. Like, I mean, I don't need to have 5 Lil Got It songs. I don't need to have more than 1 AMJ song. Yeah. But I got B cuts, right? I got stuff that people might not expect me to play, right? Like, we've thrown down reggae sets.
Yeah.
And like,
well, I mean, I grew up on listening to that shit. So
right.
I think
I learned from you.
I think it's expected from me more so than it is from you. So when they see you get on it, they're like, oh shit. Or vice versa. Like if you get down some Latin shit, they're like, oh, that's expected. But if I do it, they're like, are you Dominican?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, when we all first started, like, we referenced each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
We would do the homework because, I might not know all the record dates. I'm looking through your crates. I'm like, oh shit, that's just fire. Like let and then same thing, right?
Yeah, I didn't know the cumbias.
You
I didn't know
need
the
the quinceañera
merengues.
set?
I didn't know that shit. You know, I knew the reggaeton coming up and all that shit, but I didn't know none of that. I didn't know classic rock until I got into DJing.
Actually, I feel like we're about to wrap this up. We don't need to get into our topic because we're already 45 minutes in.
We didn't have a topic. This was the topic.
This was the topic.
So one thing I do want to touch back on the East versus West thing, even though I said I was done with it.
Joe.
He was saying that the West Coast style is wordplay and tone play. That's not the West Coast style. I just want to make that clear. That's not,
I didn't agree
because he referenced that.
Yeah.
No, he was just reaching.
Yeah, and I know he's emotional. This is what he
I
sees.
get what he was. I think the verbiage was
Motherfuckers
just.
hate when you say you're too emotional.
Yeah. I get what he was trying to say. I think the verbiage was just wrong. You know what I mean? The verbiage that he was using or we were using as a collective was just wrong. Yeah. I get what he was trying to say, or the point that he was trying to make with that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like with the basically he was just like, oh y'all blend, y'all find different ways to blend shit as opposed to, you know, we find shit to drop or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I get what you're saying, but that specific point that you're saying, no, that's not.
So let me, for a little bit of context, additional context, specifically on wordplay, right? First guy to really popularize it, would you say it was AM?
Yeah. What,
to
wordplay?
make it popular.
Wordplay?
Yeah, wordplay.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
trick mixing,
Mashup,
right?
This is how we
mashups,
do.
you know, all that
But
shit, yeah.
if you know your DJ history,
Yeah, we know where AM's from.
DJ Spinbad was doing some of those tricks before AM was.
Listen,
Spinbad,
Spinbad,
who reps New York
to the fullest,
right, is clearly not a West Coast DJ. But those are some of the tricks that first came from AM, which we went back and forth a little bit. You could argue he's an LA style DJ, but he's from Philly.
Yeah,
Philly guys have this like clean way about them. Shout out Jazzy Jeff. Shout out Excel.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's dope DJs that come out of Philly.
For sure.
And but AM I still think is still more of a Philly DJ. And like, yeah, he made it popular when he came out here and he was doing the high profile gigs and, you know, he got to do the power mixes and different things like that.
Yeah.
But wordplay wasn't born in the West.
I just realized something. This is why I think he thinks that's an LA style, because this was before social media, maybe like on
MySpace
the heels
days.
of Twitter evolving.
Okay.
So this is what we knew in the West. We heard AM, and this is what we thought we had to do. I even said on that show, you know, a lot of West Coast DJs, LA DJs in particular, had outdated sounds because they were trying to sound like AM and all these guys, and it's just like they were forcing it. And so if you don't have the social media platform to hear about what's going on in different parts of the country, and you hear this on this specific side of the country, you're gonna for 2-3 times whatever it is, you're probably gonna chalk that up as that's a West Coast thing. And I remember when AM would get booked in New York, Clutch would be like, yo, everyone wanted that style after that. Everyone wanted to book that style. That's probably where Clutch, you know, maybe, I don't know what he was like before AM, but maybe he adjusted some things because he did kind of have that AM style. In fact, most of us did. Everywhere around the country, I want that AM style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The mashup DJ. Like
the mashup, but just everything about it, that the whole creative part about it. Yeah, the mashup was on the surface. That was like what they wanted. But I think the whole creative thing about it was like it was chalked up as a West Coast thing. So now, if that's what it is, maybe I'm reaching here. If that's what it is, maybe that's what Crooked was saying, like that's the West Coast style.
No, I think what it is honestly what at the end of the day what happened was it was a specific era, and maybe this is why he's so stuck in that era, because as he was moving to Vegas and he became this like staple Vegas headlining name, right, along with like everybody else that got put on in Vegas.
Yeah.
And who was the leader of the pack in Vegas? AM. Where was AM living? LA. So where are most of his homies from? LA. So he put on a lot more LA cats than he did other cats.
Yeah. Other guys are sounding like
and
him.
So yeah, you're gonna have the LA dudes that like have a heavy influence, but the style that was developing within the mashup era, like people didn't really care enough about the musical foundation or what was organically like sounding right. people were more concerned about this word says crazy in love. I'm going to type in crazy. Does this blend with that? Oh, I'm going to type in love. Does it type in with that?
Yeah.
That was literally wordplay. You go in your Serato, you type in one of the fucking words, and you try to match it.
Yeah.
To this day, people are still doing that without
shit.
fucking looking at the key. Bro, mix and fucking key. There's an app. It tells you on there.
Yeah.
Analyze your files.
Hey, man.
Like, shit. Like,
I mean, you if you have fucking ears, you can tell that some shit don't,
bro,
just don't
like,
sound
please.
good together.
And the tone play with the little slicer and the whole joint, the sound. Chill. Like, we don't need all that. Just play.
Red Bull needs it. We don't. Red Bull doesn't even need it.
Bro,
Actually,
like, that's not what's gonna help you win 3-style.
I wonder if they took that away. Like, you can't do that shit.
No, it just evolved.
Look, I still
what
think,
I'm saying is if they took it away. Like,
I
they
still
said,
think- No, I still think that's and we can go over what we think a 3-style championship set sounds like. We could talk to Jay Espinoza about that. But the reality is, like, don't you do not need to force shit, and it only represents bad on us because it was popularized on this side of the country, and everybody's trying to do it, and it's a wave. Like, if I tried to tone play, I'd fucking sound like an idiot, right? Because I don't play the piano, I don't know how to understand it. But there's people who literally you'll force things to look creative, and I think that's part of the problem. But again, it's just, hey, look, everybody has their point of view.
Everybody has their
bubble.
Everybody's right.
Do whatever, and
nobody's wrong.
No,
everybody's right.
Nah, fuck that. We're right because
I don't care.
This is our
Y'all
podcast.
can have it. You can have it. You're the best.
No, Joe.
New York DJs are the best.
But
I mean,
New York basketball players are the best.
If we really gonna say, if we really gonna pick a city that has better DJs overall, nobody's beating DJs out of Philly. Let's be honest.
You know what?
I don't know if I can be honest.
We should start.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't hear enough.
We're
Philly
saying
DJs.
it. We're saying that if we're really gonna pick a city that has really made and adapt and molded the overall better DJ, Philly.
No, just do a regional list.
But you're saying doing East Coast versus West. You saying West Coast and West Coast, or are we going to do city or regional?
Let's do it by city.
You want to do it by city? Each city.
Major
that's what I'm saying. Each major city. I think line them up. That's what I said. I mean, but
because if we
the
did,
unfortunate thing about LA got a lot of fucking transplants.
Well, see,
so,
that, I mean, who do you qualify? Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What qualifies someone to be considered a New York DJ?
And I feel Bay Area DJs like. Don't listen to Rocket Con.
That was fucked up.
That was uncalled for.
That was fucked up.
Because there's a lot of dope Bay Area DJs.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, and there's two that are in particular, Jay Espinoza and Miles Medina, that are killing it and getting bags.
Yeah, exactly.
Not trying to put their business out, but
they're
killing it and they're getting their bags
killing
while
everybody.
they're doing it.
Yeah, so it's just a different generation.
So I think there needs to be guidelines. What considers someone a DJ? Like you know what I'm saying? If you're a New York DJ, that means you're consistently DJing in the city of New York.
And
not because you're from New York and you DJ. That means I'm a New York DJ.
Right.
That means Crooked and Never are New York DJs. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they don't work out there. I'm sure they get booked out there from time to time. But majority of their gigs come out here in the West Coast. Vegas, LA, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And a lot of people, look, we understand this. Like, a lot of people move to LA to build that future. Rell, you moved to LA. Like,
I got forced out here. I'm happy.
Yeah, right. And we're happy you're here. Dainja and I are born and raised in Los Angeles. Like, we're one of the few that are involved in this industry where everybody, shout out to Abner too. You're a part of 818, represent. That's not an official gang sign. That was just, but
we gonna bleep that
out. Blur it out. So, but we're from LA. We're born and raised, and we're a part of an industry where a ton of people move to this city.
And they give us a bad name because they act like fuckboys and they say, man, not people from LA.
No, when you know somebody that's actually from LA, they'll actually talk to you.
Yeah.
And then their first question isn't, what do you do? So.
What do you do?
Yeah.
So you're not from here.
Anyway, New Hollywood.
Real quick before we end this, when I was at Highlight Room, I was hanging out with this promoter and a couple girls came up to him and we introduced ourselves and the second girl, introduced myself to her, and I'm just thinking, all right, my natural reaction is they're going to talk to the promoter or go get a drink. They don't have an interest in talking to me because I'm so used to LA girls just being not LA girls, but girls in the industry, I should say, in LA, if you are in, I wasn't interested, but if you are interested, they make you chase them, unless you got alcohol or you're a promoter to some degree, not all. So I'm standing there minding my own business after being introduced, and this girl starts talking to me. I'm like, oh, that's weird. A girl in this industry at the highlight room on a Sunday afternoon is talking to me. Interesting.
Did you tell Sam this?
No.
Okay, we'll delete that.
No. You know, it's fine. I can talk to girls.
I'm going to tell her before this airs anyway.
I'll make it a part of the once a month yelling I get. So this girl, she starts talking to me and we're in a conversation and there's no flirting. It's just general conversation. I'm just like, you're not from around here, are you? Like, you don't live in LA. She's like, no, I'm from Pittsburgh. I was like, I can tell that you're not living in LA because you struck a conversation with me. Yeah. Girls that come from other cities, like I said, I guarantee you, if you lived out here for a year or two, you wouldn't be talking to me after a year or two because you would get the formula and you would just keep to yourself. Yeah. And you know, you might have a girl say, girl, you gotta like make them earn it. Don't talk to them. Like, you gotta, you know, don't put yourself out
bitch, there. That's why you single.
But yeah, whole different thing. So, music picks?
Are we done? Are we done?
I'm done. Yeah. I've been done.
I feel like there was one last thing.
Oh, get it out.
Listen, man, I will say this, man. I didn't really walk away from, you know, I was hoping to, if we were sitting down with that amazing group of DJs, I didn't walk away from that conversation inspired. I will say that. Like,
this is what I was gonna say.
It wasn't. I didn't walk away being like, damn, you know, that was. It really came off just being like, damn, we really was in there just. Wait.
So do you feel like we inspired after our 50-minute conversation about why we think we're right?
I think. Well,
do we need to put ourselves?
No. I'm saying, you know, it came off. Our conversation came off the high of, you know, what we had from the show, and it's just we're just expressing our opinions that we didn't get to express
our point of view.
At that time, at that point of view. So you know what I mean? Like, I get it. It was a bunch of opinionated DJs trying to get their words out.
It was like actually 2 or 3 DJs, not 3 or 4.
You know, it was, but you know, I'm saying the room was filled with a bunch of DJs.
Some guys were quieter than I thought.
You know what I'm saying?
I thought he was gonna
go in on stuff.
I try to represent for us, man.
You know, I want to say I do respect Mo for not really jumping in.
Yeah.
Being a New York guy, I'm expecting every New York guy to jump in and protect New York, but he didn't, and I actually thought that said a lot about him. Like,
Momo seemed like a very logical,
100%. Like that said a lot about him. He can just like, he's probably soaking it up or just probably thought it was a dumb conversation. But regardless, I respected him for just like, and Neva really wasn't saying much. Just he's probably over it, you know. But no, I thought that was cool.
The New Yorkers really didn't say anything. We were in that corner being quiet and shit. Me and Never were just looking at each other.
What part of New York is crooked?
No, because I was just serving
from Harlem.
I was just serving them 2 fucking tequila all day.
I know. We really were in that bitch.
I was getting them Kobe beef up.
We was in that bitch. I was like, man, shit.
Nah. What I was gonna say, what you're reminding me of, and this is the thing, right? Fun conversation. Yeah. At the end of the day, like, I doubled down on some shit just to get the content out.
I understand what it was.
You know what I mean? Like, I had to take my stance and represent for us, and at the end of the day, like, if you're gonna have an opinion, stand by it, right? And so that's what Crooker was doing, I would say, for the most part. And he's entitled to his opinion, and you know, I don't live in his world. Yeah, he doesn't book me or us, so like, it's not really about his opinion in regards to like whether LA DJ or New York DJ works better somewhere in the room. But to get to the core and maybe something to leave our listeners and people with is, we as DJs and as this collective here understand the responsibilities that we have and the access and power that we have by having a GoPro go off in the middle of our show. Nah, but the reality is, we understand that we've been given a platform that hundreds, if not thousands, of DJs would love to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being able to have a voice, being able to do this for 10 years now, and shit, let's be honest, this is going to be the last podcast we shoot in this room.
Yeah.
And this is the same room that we built with our own hands.
Built a wall, built a nice little booth.
I was gonna say it was more of a wall than a booth.
Yeah, right.
We
I tried to give it
we
Three
sure as
walls,
hell.
2 walls.
You thought a Latino guy would just know some shit,
I
right?
had no ceiling on it.
I had no idea. You know, we had a poster, we had a webcam,
It was a window.
and a window, a sliding one too.
The sliding
windows
window.
to the wall.
Hey, are we stopping? Okay.
Hey, keep mixing. But you know, we learned a lot through this, and we understand. Like, look, we have the privilege to be able to have our voices heard, and we have these mics in front of us to say something.
Yeah,
I'm gonna challenge Crooked and the R.O.A.D team to know and understand they have that same responsibility, and I know they do, right? But from podcast to podcast, from DJ City staff to another, like, we all have a responsibility to our listeners and to our upcoming DJs to be able to give them the tools and tips and things that we learned were wrong.
Yeah.
Right? We're just talking from our experiences. We can't talk from anybody else's, which is really why this conversation boils down to, look, Crooked, that's what you feel.
This
Great.
is how we feel.
This is how we feel.
Yeah.
This just happens to be our podcast, and now we get to actually say something and not be drowned out.
Yeah, we could just agree to disagree on things and
And that's
it for what it is.
That's part of life.
Yeah.
You know, family disagree all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, R.O.A.D podcast, y'all are family. Shout out to Jamie. Shout out to Neva. D Miles, who was chilling in some short shorts in Aruba.
Yeah.
Watching the show.
With his shirt open.
His shirt open. First show. And shout out to Crooked.
Yep.
Right? Shout out to P. Dot. My man works behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think that was a great convo. The last 30 where we got into this heated debate, which is a meat and potatoes for us.
Everything else was fine.
But everything else before that was also a great, healthy conversation.
I wasn't too mad about it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's some stuff to walk away from. And if we could leave you guys with anything to walk away from this episode, cool.
Yeah.
But
good. Music picks.
Yeah. So 10.5.
Yes.
Episode 10.5.
10.5.
Peace.
Because we had to get that off our chest.